The worry I have though is, okay, there's been a lot of talk about his ego as well, which I don't know if it's been kind of like amplified more than it actually is. Maybe he was just being a bit more frank than other riders are, and then the media just like blows it up more than it actually is. So obviously, if you have a leader like that, you want a bit of ego. You want them to think they're number one, they're gonna win, or what's the point? Like it's kind of like, yeah, when they say in Formula One, I always think I'm the best driver. If I don't, what's the point? So I don't know if the media's blown the story up a bit too much with his ego, but I don't know. What do you think about that? Do you think he's going to be a problem? I think the Tour, if Mess Peterson and Milan, one of them obviously is going, and they're going to command some of the riders, but we've seen many teams being able to do that dual approach anyway.
I think it will be okay, but I do have a little bit of concern that if a user doesn't have a whole squad around him, then he starts to throw his toys out the pram. And that's definitely going to be the case of the Tour. Like when you have Pedersen and Milan on the squad, one of them is guaranteed to be going to the Tour. So it's hard to see a future where then a user is going to have the full support of the team at the Tour de France. But to be honest with you, I think that as a squad, they don't have like a full mountain support. They've got sort of bits and bobs of it, and I think that might be a little bit of a weakness of theirs, is that, yes, they've got Gebrag Zabia, Bajoli, Ciccone, Kemner, Scamus Jensen. They've got guys who are very good climbers, but I think maybe a user would like, it depends if you think you can put a Scamus Jensen or a Ciccone in as that last sort of mountain support rider to be with a user, because if you don't, then he's going to be quite isolated up most mountain stages, and I think that's when he starts to like, I don't know, just crack a little bit. He's one of those who likes to, a bit like Remco, perhaps likes to have a teammate around in case something goes wrong, or to set pace if they're feeling good, so they can attack and capitalize on a situation. So I think it would work if they designate Scamus Jensen or Ciccone, who are probably the only two realistic options to be a mountain support, and whether they'd be happy to do that or not. That's the only concern I really have, is their ability to really support a user in the high mountains.
I think that's a really good point as well. And then when you look at like who they've signed right now, yeah, obviously Juan Ayuso, Max Walscheid, obviously not for him. Matthias Norsgaard, not for him either. Well, early part of stage maybe, but not in the high mountains like you were saying. Jakob Sönnerqvist, yeah, more like coming through the ranks, and I don't really see him as a dedicated support rider just yet. They got rid of Juan Pedro Lopez, who could have been great in that role as a key domestique, but that for me is a rider that they're going to miss potentially next year. Yeah, he needs maybe like one or two more guys in the high mountains, like with Sky when they got in a few Colombians or Spanish riders to support Froome. That's kind of what they're missing. Like at Nieve, they are missing someone. I completely agree, and I think it's a good spot by you.
We'll wait and see though. It could be just it could just not be a problem. The user might be completely fine with just flying his own flag in those mountain stages, but I expect he would like a little bit of support, but it might end up being fine. But you are right, it's more of a sprinting classic style squad now, with a little bit of a GC focus now. So I think it's quite a split team in every regard, and you're kind of not quite sure how, because they've never really been a GC team in my eyes. I mean, it would have to go back to like Contador, really, when Contador was out. That was like a decade ago. Like that was a long time ago. So I know, right? It's hard to think. So that's my only concern, is how do they transform into also being a GC team from being a classic style squad? It didn't work with Soudal Quickstep with Remco. Are they going to be able to do it here? I'm not too sure.
Yeah, I think you're right. Do you send him to the Tour? You were saying it earlier, Tour, maybe Welter, but why not Giro, Welter, and then, Tour is the biggest scene.
Yeah.
5-year contract as well. What did you make of the length of the contract?
I find the length of the contract a bit weird. It's like a user had a 5-year contract with UAE Team Emirates till 2028, and he broke that. So I don't know why he thinks that it's a good idea to do it again. To be fair, it might not be him who's pushing it. It might be Lidl Trek who's wanting him to sign on for 5 years, and they're just like, oh, we see the volatility of this guy. We want him pinned down because we don't want him flying off somewhere because he's, had the wrong thing for breakfast or something like that. So I can see. I think a 5 year deal is a bit weird, to be honest, based upon the fact that the last 5 year deal didn't work. Yeah, I do find that a little bit odd. But in terms of a tour, I think they sort of have to. Like a user would want to. He's didn't go to the tour this year. The only time he's really been to the tour is underneath the leadership of other, like basically Pogacar. He's gonna want to go and see what he's sort of made of and compare himself, unless he doesn't want to. Unless Lidl Trek see more value in trying to get a podium in the Giro and the Vuelta, they see that as a greater certainty than going to the tour and fighting for a top 5. Probably, maybe a podium spot if things go right, and maybe they see it as more valuable to get more of a certainty in 2 Grand Tours rather than banking it all on one and maybe coming out with nothing. So I think it depends just how much risk they want to put in there, but I would say that a user would want to go to the tour. Like, why would he not? And if you've made a big signing on a 5 year deal, you're going to want to flaunt that at the biggest stage, aren't you?
Well, we might as well finish with, do you think this was the right team? Because as I mentioned earlier, we discussed a whole other scenarios. I think Israel Primatek was even mentioned at one point. We were talking about the gap he fills completely for Lidl Trek, but yeah, is this the best move? I mean, Ineos, I thought they needed this guy more than anyone, but apparently they didn't see it like that.
Yeah, I think it's a strange one. I think Ineos, in theory, would be a better place because of their current ability to support a GC rider. Because I think,
I see what you mean. So they more,
like you've already got quite an established team which is very GC orientated. So, and you're a GC rider as a user. So, and you've got a lot of, Spanish speaking riders there. You've probably got the likes of Bernal or Rensman and plenty of others who might support you in the mountain stages, and it's just seems like a more GC orientated setup. So I thought that might be a better move, but I suppose in the grand scheme of things, it's about where a user wanted to go, and perhaps if he was just willing to pay the money for his contract and maybe sign him up for a 5 year deal. There's so many things which are going on that we don't know about probably, and I think the Lidl Trek at the end of the day is still a decent fit. I just don't think it's a perfect fit.
Yeah, no, I agree. And you wanted that little special savers card as well.
Yeah, exactly. That's the most important thing.